You are the prize, not her. That's the part no one ever told you. Not your teachers, not your parents, and definitely not the women who pulled away after you gave them everything. Most men spend their lives thinking they have to earn love, that if they just do more text first, show up early, prove they care, she'll finally see their worth. But here's the truth. That mindset doesn't build attraction, it destroys it. Right now, there's a man watching this who's stuck in that cycle. He feels like he's losing her, so he tries harder, gets softer, more available, more emotional. And with every attempt to get closer, she moves further away. Sound familiar? That's not weakness, that's programming. You were never taught the real rules of power in a relationship. You were taught to chase, not to lead. But Stoicism offers something better. It teaches you how to own your energy, stop reacting, and become the man she actually craves, not the one she tolerates. In this video, we're breaking down what real power looks like, why she needs you more than you need her if you're living right, and how to flip the dynamic without playing games or losing your self-respect. Let's get into it. Number 1. Stop chasing, start choosing. Let's be real. Most guys are trained from a young age to chase women like they're the prize, like getting her is the mission, and losing her means you failed. But that's backwards. And it shows up everywhere. Texting too often, over-explaining, tolerating disrespect just to keep her around. You know who that turns you into? A man waiting for approval. Let me tell you about Greg, 42, from Texas, recently divorced, back in the dating scene. He meets Rachel, 38, a beautiful woman, sharp, successful. They hit it off. He thinks he's lucky to have her attention, so he leans in hard. Constant texts, gifts, making time for her even when he's overloaded with work. He thinks, if I do more, she'll stay. At first, Rachel's into it. Then, she starts pulling away. Longer replies, cancelled plans. That gut feeling kicks in, but Greg ignores it. He ramps it up. More affection, more chasing. Until one day, she ghosts him completely. Here's the truth. Greg didn't lose Rachel because he wasn't enough. He lost her because he gave up his position as a chooser and became a chaser. When you chase, you're sending one loud message. You are above me. I need you to feel complete. And nothing kills attraction faster than that. Stoicism flips that script. It tells you to return to yourself, to value your time, energy, and attention as the most precious resources you have. Marcus Aurelius said, "A man's worth is no greater than his ambitions." And if your ambition is just to keep her, not to lead yourself, you've already lost. Choosing doesn't mean being cold, it means being clear. Clear about what you want, clear about what you'll tolerate. It means seeing her for who she really is, not who you hope she'll become. It's about observing, not fantasizing, responding, not reacting. Here's the shift. Instead of asking, how do I get her to like me? You ask, do I even like her? Does she add peace, energy, or meaning to my life? If the answer is no, walk away, not with anger, but with composure. High-value men know they don't chase. They attract. Not with tricks or manipulation, but with presence, with clarity, with the kind of energy that says, I'm already whole. You're welcome to join me, but I'm not stopping for you. And you know what? Women feel that deeply, because most men don't bring it. You want her attention to shift? Stop chasing. You want her respect? Start choosing. You want her to be curious? Get back to leading. Let her wonder where you stand. Let her feel the tension of not being the center of your world. Because in that space, that pause, is where power lives. Now it's your turn. Have you been chasing when you should have been choosing? Let me know with a quick comment. I choose now. And if this first sign hit you hard, don't go anywhere. The next one might change how you see love entirely. Number 2, attention is not love. Let's clear something up right now. Just because she's texting you, liking your posts, or laughing at your jokes doesn't mean she loves you. In fact, it might not mean anything at all. Attention is cheap. Love isn't. The problem is, most guys confuse the two. When she gives you a little attention, a message here, a flirt there, it feels good, especially if you've been feeling unseen or unappreciated. You interpret her attention as a green light, a sign that things are working, that she's invested. But here's the truth. Attention can come from boredom, habit, validation, seeking, or even guilt. Love doesn't come from those places. Attention feeds your ego. Love feeds your soul. They're not the same fuel. Stoic philosophy reminds us to be skeptical of surface impressions. Epictetus wrote, "It is not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them." In other words, it's not her attention that's powerful, it's your interpretation of it. You assign meaning, you build stories, you create expectations. And then when she disappears or shifts her energy, it feels like betrayal. But really, you betrayed yourself by mistaking a spark for a fire. Let's talk power. If you're constantly checking your phone, wondering why she hasn't replied, obsessing over her activity, you've given her your mental space. And once she owns that, you're no longer grounded. You've become reactive, uncertain, dependent. And that, right there, is where attraction starts to die. A man rooted in Stoic principles doesn't measure connection by how much attention he gets, but by how aligned someone's actions are with their words, and whether their presence adds peace or chaos to his life. Here's a mindset shift for you. Love shows up consistently, quietly, and with depth. Attention is flashy, inconsistent, and often selfish. If she disappears for days, then pops up with a "Hey stranger" text, that's not love, that's bait. If she only engages when she's bored or lonely, that's not interest, that's convenience. Ask yourself this: is she showing up because she values me, or because she values the way I make her feel in the moment? You're not here to be entertainment. You're not here to fill emotional gaps. You're here to build something real, and real doesn't come wrapped in temporary praise. This isn't just emotional, it's neurological. Your brain gets used to the little hits of dopamine every time she interacts with you. But like any drug, you build tolerance. You crave more, and when it doesn't come, you start chasing. That craving isn't love. That's chemical dependency disguised as desire. Marcus Aurelius warned, "If someone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake in any thought or action, I shall gladly change. I seek the truth." That's what you have to do with attention. Test it. Question it. Is it truth or is it illusion? Is it grounded or is it manipulation? When someone truly values you, their presence doesn't confuse you. Their energy is calm, not chaotic. Their words match their actions, especially in the tough moments. This is where you step into power. You stop being impressed by breadcrumbs. You start expecting substance. You don't have to explain that to her, you just live it. And if she can't meet you there, you let her go with clarity, not anger. So the next time she floods your DMs after days of silence, or drops compliments right after ghosting, you ask yourself, is this nourishment or noise? Comment below, I see clearly. Because in the next section, we'll hit the hardest truth yet: why chasing her approval is the quickest way to lose your own. Number 3, power shifts when you beg. There's a moment, and you might not even realize it when it happens, where everything in a relationship changes. It's when a man stops leading and starts begging. That's the moment power shifts. Not just emotionally, but psychologically, sexually, and energetically. Let me give you a picture. Jason is 45. He runs his own contracting business in Colorado. Solid guy. 2 kids from a previous marriage. He's been seeing Emily, 39, for about 6 months. At first, things were balanced. She respected him, admired his drive, and they connected deeply. Then Emily started to pull back. Less available, less affectionate, less present, Jason noticed. So what did he do? He tried harder. He wrote long texts, asked what was wrong, offered to change plans, begged for reassurance. And every time he begged, her respect dropped just a little more. Because here's the truth, desire doesn't respond to desperation. Respect doesn't survive begging. In Jason's mind, he was just fighting for love. But in Emily's eyes, it was weakness. It felt like pressure, not power. And the more he begged, the more she distanced herself. Until one day she told him, "I just don't feel the same anymore." The Stoics warned us about this. Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free." And begging is not brave, it's fear in motion. Fear of abandonment, fear of rejection, fear of not being chosen. And fear takes you out of your masculine center. When you beg, you make her the decider, the one with options, the one with leverage. You hand over the keys to your value, and the second you do that, the dynamic flips. You become the one trying to prove, the one chasing, the one below. Stoicism tells you to detach from the outcome, to control what's within your power, your actions, your words, your boundaries, and release the rest. Begging is the opposite of that. It's clinging to what's already slipping, trying to force what should flow naturally. Here's a better way. Notice when you're tempted to beg. When she pulls away, resist the urge to close the gap. Hold your frame. Give space, not as a tactic, but as a truth. If someone wants to step away, let them. The man who doesn't beg is the man she wonders about. He's the one she reevaluates. Not because he played a game, but because he showed dignity. He showed self-respect. Jason learned that too late. But you don't have to. Let her go if she's halfway out. And if she comes back, great, but on equal footing, not on your knees. And understand this begging isn't always obvious. Sometimes it hides in over-explaining, over-apologizing, or constantly justifying her bad behavior just to keep her around. You think you're being understanding, but what you're really doing is betraying your own standards. Think about how many men abandon their values because they're afraid to be alone. They act nice, agreeable, overly patient, thinking it'll win her back. But a woman doesn't stay because you made yourself small. She stays when she sees your strength. Begging makes your world shrink around her. That's not love, that's obsession, and obsession kills attraction. Now imagine the opposite. She pulls back, and instead of collapsing, you expand. You lean into your mission. You reconnect with your center. That's power. That's what she feels. One more Stoic insight. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." That includes her feelings, her moods, her choices. You don't fix, chase, or convince. You stay grounded. Let her sit in the silence you didn't fill. Say it with me in the comments. I won't beg. Number 4. Emotional control shocks her. Here's something most men underestimate: how powerful it is to stay calm when she's trying to shake you. When she's emotional, dramatic, testing your limits, and you don't flinch, that hits her deep. Not because you're cold, but because you're centered. You're not reacting, you're responding. The Stoics understood this. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's not just philosophy, that's dominance, in the purest form. Most guys think dominance is loud, aggressive, alpha, but real dominance is silent, it's still, it's emotional control. And when you have it, she doesn't know what to do with it because she's used to men chasing her emotional roller coaster. She's used to her moods, setting the tone. But when you refuse to ride that wave with her, that's when you stand out. You stop being predictable, you stop being easy to manipulate, and deep down she respects it. Even if she tests harder, control doesn't mean ignoring her. It means you don't absorb her energy. You hear it, you hold your ground, you speak less, You choose your words. You don't argue to win. You lead by calming the storm. And here's where the shock hits her. When you don't fight back emotionally, you shift the polarity. You break the script she's used to. You're not the guy who crumbles under pressure. You're not the guy who raises his voice just because she raised hers. You're the guy who looks her in the eye, breathes and says, "I'm not here to fight. I'm here to build." And then walks away if it goes nowhere. That moment, it sticks in her mind, because self-control is rare, and rare is valuable. Stoicism isn't about suppressing your emotions, it's about mastering them. It's about knowing when your feelings are useful and when they're just noise. Emotional men chase, they panic, they break their own boundaries. Stoic men feel, but they move with reason. And reason is magnetic. She might not admit it, but that calm confidence makes her feel safe. And that safety builds attraction because it tells her, "You've got this," without saying a word. And if she tries to provoke a reaction, silence is your power play. Not to punish, but to preserve peace. Your peace. She might say, "You're too calm, too distant, or too much in your head." Let her. Because what she's really saying is, "You don't give me the control I'm used to." And that's exactly the point. If you want more power like this, emotional mastery, leadership, and connection without chasing, join the membership. That's where we go deeper. That's where I show you how to live this, not just hear it. Also, let me know in the comments. I choose calm. Stick around because next we're going to break down the most dangerous mindset that keeps men weak in relationships. And it's one you've probably believed your whole life. Number 5. She tests to find a leader. Let's get this straight. Women don't test you because they're evil. They test because they want to feel safe. And safety doesn't come from soft words or constant agreement. It comes from strength, from leadership, from knowing you can't be moved off center. That's why her test is never really about what you say. It's about how you handle pressure. Do you fold? Do you chase? Or do you lead? Let me show you what that looks like in real life. Mike, 42, lives in Denver. He's divorced, runs a small design firm, and started dating again after 5 years off the market. He met Rachel, 38, who seemed perfect, smart, sexy, confident. But 2 months in, things shifted. She started showing up late, canceling last minute, making sarcastic comments to see if he'd snap. Mike came to me thinking he was doing something wrong. He wasn't. He was being tested. Rachel didn't want to hurt him. She wanted to see if he was the kind of man who could hold his own. And once Mike realized that he stopped reacting, he stopped trying to fix. He started leading. He calmly called things out, set boundaries without drama, didn't lecture, just stood firm. The result? Rachel's respect came back, fast, because she didn't want control. She wanted to feel a man's direction. Stoicism teaches the same. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Men waste time overthinking her words instead of leading with action. They over-apologize. They walk on eggshells. But leadership doesn't live in anxiety, it lives in conviction. When she pushes, she's looking for structure. She wants to know your world won't collapse just because she raises her voice or challenges your decision. If you flinch every time she gets emotional, you're not leading, you're following her feelings. And she already has feelings. What she wants is your frame. Leadership doesn't mean you dominate her, it means you direct energy. You create a sense of, "We're going this way," not, "Please like me." You say no when needed. You say yes with clarity. You don't try to please, you try to build something solid. This doesn't mean she won't challenge you again. In fact, the more you pass her tests, the deeper she'll trust you, and the more she'll test, just to be sure it's real, not to manipulate, to confirm. Because consistency builds security. And that security, that's what lets her relax into her feminine. That's what unlocks true polarity, where she doesn't have to carry the masculine energy anymore, because you've claimed it. Mike told me something later that stuck with me. He said, "The moment I stopped trying to win her approval and just started acting like the man I wanted to be, everything changed." That's the real power shift. Because leadership isn't a performance. It's not a tactic. It's who you are when no one's watching. When you say no, even though you're afraid she'll leave. When you don't text back just to soothe your anxiety. When you stop asking for permission to be strong. That's what she's testing, your ability to lead yourself. So again, own it. Type in the comments, "I lead now." Next up, we're going to expose the one thing most men do, even high-value men, that instantly gives all their power away. Number 6. You are the prize. Let's be honest, most men forget this. The moment they feel attraction, they flip the switch. Suddenly, they're chasing, they're proving, they're bending, and they lose the frame. They stop being the mountain and start being the beggar. But here's the truth, you are the prize, you are the source. Not because you say it out loud, not because of arrogance, but because you've built yourself into someone of substance. When a man knows he's the prize, he moves differently. He doesn't try to impress, he expresses. He doesn't chase attention, he commands presence. He doesn't try to hold on to her, he holds on to himself. That's what women feel at a gut level. That inner solidity, that self-respect, that quiet confidence that says, "I'm already fulfilled, you're welcome to join, but I'm not empty without you." Marcus Aurelius said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." When your thoughts revolve around pleasing her, fearing loss, or trying to win her back, you've already lost yourself. And when you lose yourself, you lose the relationship. A high-value woman doesn't want a man who orbits around her. She wants a man who stands in his own light. Because only then can she respect you. Only then can she relax into your leadership. When you place her on a pedestal, she has no choice but to look down at you. But when you see yourself as the prize, you bring her into your world, not abandon yours to enter hers. This isn't about ego, it's not about being better than her. It's about knowing your worth. It's about knowing that your time, your focus, your peace, they're valuable. And not everyone gets access to that. The minute you treat her like she's the prize, like she's the only source of meaning or love in your life, you give up your grounding. You give her power she didn't ask for. And eventually, she'll lose attraction, not because she's ungrateful, but because she senses you've forgotten who you are. Women don't fall for men who beg. They fall for men who walk in purpose, in stillness, in presence. When you are the prize, you don't panic when she pulls away. You don't try to fix things the moment they feel off. You hold frame. You stay rooted. That doesn't mean you don't care. It means you don't collapse. There's nothing more magnetic than a man who knows what he brings to the table and doesn't need to prove it. A man who sees his mission as bigger than validation. A man who can walk away not out of spite, but out of principle. Remember, your value isn't something she decides. It's something you embody. When you don't see yourself as the prize, you put her in the position of constant validation. Every text she sends, every compliment, every signal, you treat it like a reward. You become reactive. You wait. You obsess. And whether you realize it or not, you train your mind to believe you are beneath her. That energy bleeds into everything: how you touch her, how you speak, even how you carry yourself around other people. And it makes her question something she may not even be able to put into words. Why is he trying so hard? Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Being the prize is not about controlling others. It's about mastering your own mind, your urges, your expectations. If your self-worth is tied to how she treats you, you're not leading, you're leaking power. Being the prize doesn't mean you're always chosen. It means you know how to walk away when you're not. That kind of detachment isn't cold, it's commanding, because it says, "I value myself enough not to chase what isn't choosing me fully." So if you've ever wondered why things fell apart when you gave your all, maybe it's because you gave away your center first. Hold the frame, be the prize. Drop it in the comments. I bring the value. And what's next? It's one of the most misunderstood truths about masculine strength, and once you get it, everything shifts. Number 7. Masculine silence breaks here. Let's talk about one of the most underrated but devastatingly effective forms of power: masculine silence. Not the kind born from passive aggressiveness or games. I'm talking about stillness, presence, the kind of silence that speaks louder than neediness ever could. Take Jake, 44, divorced, 2 kids, living in Dallas. After a year of dating Amanda, 39, something shifted. She started becoming colder, less affectionate. Her replies got shorter, her texts less frequent. She pulled away. Jake had 2 choices: panic and chase, or pause and hold the frame. He chose silence, not from bitterness, but from strength. He stopped over-explaining, stopped asking, "What's wrong?" every day, stopped trying to make her feel something she clearly wasn't expressing anymore. 3 days into that silence, she texted, "Are you okay?" Then came the guilt, then came the curiosity, then the pull. Masculine silence doesn't beg, it doesn't justify, it doesn't entertain disrespect. It simply removes its presence, and that absence speaks volumes. A woman who's used to emotional reactions doesn't know how to handle a man who simply stands still. She expects talking, reacting, maybe even pleading. When that doesn't come, she feels a vacuum. That vacuum forces reflection, and it either draws her back or reveals that she was never really with you to begin with. In a world where most men overshare, over-explain, and overreact, the man who doesn't say much but means every word becomes a mystery, and mystery is magnetic. Silence isn't a tactic, it's a reflection of emotional control. It's a way of saying, "I'm not here to perform for your validation, I'm here to observe what's real and act accordingly." And it works. Not because it manipulates, but because it contrasts with what most women are used to: men who collapse at the first sign of distance. Jake's silence gave Amanda space to feel her own discomfort. It gave her room to think without his emotional noise in the background. That's when the shift happened. Because when a woman can't feel your energy chasing her, she starts questioning the story she's been telling herself. Was he really the needy one? Or did I just test him, and he passed by walking away? Seneca once said, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." Masculine silence in these moments is proof, not to her but to yourself, that you can stay composed, that you can observe, not react, that you can lead even in absence. It's uncomfortable, but it's necessary, because silence isn't weakness, it's maturity. It says, "I know my worth, and I won't speak just to fill a void." If she wants to meet you there, she will. If she doesn't, you've already won, because you didn't abandon your center just to keep her attention. Jake didn't say much, but in the end, Amanda heard everything she needed to in the silence. Drop it in the comments if you've ever tried this. I stayed silent. Stick around. What comes next will show you how detachment can heal you and change everything. Number 8. Never over-invest first. Most guys mess this up right out the gate. They meet a woman they're attracted to, and they go all in. Time, energy, effort, emotions, they lay it all out there before she's even decided if she's truly interested. Why? Because deep down, they believe they have to prove themselves, that their value is only real once she validates it. But that mindset kills your frame before you even start. When you overinvest too soon, it flips the power dynamic. Suddenly, she becomes the prize, and you become the applicant. And whether she consciously realizes it or not, she feels the shift. You start texting more, planning more, trying more, and she's doing less, responding slower, putting in minimal effort. You tell yourself you're just being romantic or attentive, but what you're really doing is performing, hoping to be chosen. This is dangerous, because when a man invests before he's evaluated, he places his self-worth in her hands. That energy bleeds into every interaction. It reeks of desperation, even if you don't say it out loud. Real value doesn't chase, it attracts. When you know who you are and what you bring, you wait to see if she's worth your investment, not the other way around. This doesn't mean you play games or act distant. It means you stay measured, grounded. You mirror her investment and let things unfold naturally. If she texts, you reply. If she plans something, you show up. But you don't rush to fill every gap or prove you're the best man she'll ever meet. Because that energy, it's exhausting and it doesn't work. Stoic philosophy teaches us to control what we can and release what we can't. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." In relationships, this means not needing constant reciprocation to feel secure. It's knowing your presence, your peace, and your purpose already make you valuable, and letting her show if she sees it too. Over-investing first doesn't just hurt your confidence, it blinds you. You become so focused on keeping her, you forget to evaluate her. Is she kind, consistent, emotionally available? You won't know, because you're too busy trying to impress. And that's how you end up chasing women who aren't even good for you. When you overgive, you're not being noble, you're being insecure. You're trying to buy love with effort, instead of letting it grow from mutual respect and curiosity. And what happens when you stop over-investing? You start to notice who's actually interested, who initiates, who follows through. That clarity is everything. You also gain something most men never find: control over your own emotions. You're not up and down based on her attention. You're steady, you're clear, you're powerful. That's what makes her lean in, because you're not trying to prove. You're just being, and that's rare. You don't need to pull back. You just need to stop giving more than you're receiving at the start. Let her reveal herself. Let her show up. Let her meet your standards. That's not ego, that's emotional discipline. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If your thoughts are desperate, your soul will move desperately. But if your thoughts are grounded, your soul will move with grace. So take your time, match her energy. Let the investment be mutual, not one-sided. Drop it in the comments, "I wait to invest." And stick around. What comes next is the core truth that separates weak men from strong ones. Number 9. Women feel energy, not excuses. You can say all the right things, you can apologize, explain, promise, even beg, but if the energy behind your words is off, she feels it instantly. And it doesn't matter what you say after that. Women, especially the emotionally attuned ones, are wired to pick up on tone, tension, hesitation, and weakness, things most men don't even realize they're projecting. She might not call it out directly, but she'll withdraw, pull back, or test you harder because something doesn't feel right. Take Eric, for example. He's 45, divorced, successful in business, and started dating someone new, Lisa, 38. Things were great at first, but when she began pulling away, Eric panicked. He started texting more, explaining himself constantly, telling her he was just really into her and didn't want to lose her. On the surface, it sounds honest, but to Lisa, it didn't feel strong, it felt needy. The problem wasn't what Eric said, it was the anxious energy behind it. He was trying to fix the vibe with words instead of fixing himself, and Lisa could feel it. Here's the truth most guys don't want to admit. You can't fake masculine energy. You either show up calm, centered, and confident, or you don't. And women don't respond to logic as much as they respond to presence. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's not just a quote for meditation. It's your blueprint for every interaction. When she senses that your mood depends on her reactions, she knows you've lost control of your center. And let's be clear, this isn't about suppressing emotion. It's about owning it, feeling something, but choosing not to let it drive the wheel. You can be hurt and still grounded. You can be disappointed and still strong. That's the kind of emotional integrity she trusts. Excuses, even valid ones, are a turn-off when the energy underneath is blame or desperation. Saying, "I was just busy," while sounding guilty doesn't reassure her, it confuses her. Saying, "I didn't know what to say," with shaky energy doesn't restore connection, it weakens it. What she hears is not your explanation. What she receives is your instability. So how do you shift? You pause. You stop reacting. You sit with the tension instead of rushing to resolve it. You breathe. You lead with stillness. You ask yourself, am I trying to soothe her or soothe my own fear of rejection? The more you can sit in that silence without scrambling, the more she begins to respect your emotional boundaries. And when you do speak, your words land. Because now they're not coming from a place of anxiety, they're anchored in clarity. That's what women feel. That's what makes them lean in, even when the relationship feels shaky. Not perfection, not promises, but power, quiet, calm, unapologetic power. Eric eventually learned. He pulled back, worked on his internal frame, and next time he reached out, it wasn't to chase, it was to connect. Same words, different energy. And Lisa felt the difference immediately. So if you've been trying to talk your way out of a disconnect, stop and ask yourself, what is my energy really saying? Let it land in the comments. I lead with presence. And what's coming next, it's not about her. It's the final shift that changes everything about how you show up as a man. Number 10. High-value men detach first. Let's close with the truth most men resist. High-value men know when to walk away, and they don't wait for permission. They detach first, not out of spite, not as a tactic, but because they refuse to let their sense of worth hang on someone else's behavior. This is where the separation between average and exceptional really shows. Average men cling, hoping that if they give just one more chance, one more apology, one more gift, she'll finally see their value. High-value men don't cling, they observe, they measure. And when they sense the energy is no longer mutual, they step back quietly, firmly, decisively. Detachment isn't about being cold, it's about clarity. It's knowing the relationship doesn't define you. It's recognizing that peace of mind and self-respect are worth more than holding on to something that's already slipping away. Marcus Aurelius said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Apply that here. If staying connected to her is costing you your dignity, if holding on means betraying your own standards, then staying isn't right. It's not true to who you are. The high-value man sees that sooner than most. Think about what happens when you don't detach. You send the message that your identity depends on her choices. She feels the weight of your need, and instead of drawing her closer, it pushes her further away. What felt like romance to you feels like pressure to her. That's why so many men lose twice. First they lose themselves, then they lose the relationship. But when you detach first, something changes. The energy shifts. She feels your independence. She senses that you are grounded in something beyond her. And whether she comes back or not, she can't ignore it. Because true strength doesn't beg. It doesn't wait. It moves forward with or without validation. Detachment also protects you from illusion. You stop investing in potential, in what could be, and start looking at reality. Is she consistent? Is she contributing? Is she meeting you where you stand? If the answer is no, detachment clears the fog. It gives you perspective. Suddenly, you're not the man fighting for scraps. You're the man choosing peace. Epictetus wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Detachment is mastery in action. It's refusing to be enslaved by emotional highs and lows. It's saying, I feel this, I wanted this, but I don't need this. That freedom is magnetic, because very few men actually embody it. Here's the part most men overlook. Detachment doesn't mean absence of care. You can love deeply and still walk away. You can want her and still release her. High-value men know both truths can coexist. They don't numb themselves. They accept reality. They lead themselves forward. And women feel the difference. They know when a man is staying out of fear, and they know when a man is leaving out of strength. One pulls respect away. The other commands it. So ask yourself, are you holding on because it's real, or because you're afraid to let go? A high-value man answers that question with honesty, then acts without hesitation. Detachment is the final test of masculine power, because when you no longer need to cling, you're finally free to choose. And that's when you become the kind of man she never forgets whether she stays or not. So here's the truth. Power in relationships isn't about control, it's about clarity. It's about knowing your worth, holding your frame, and never giving it away just to keep someone around. That's what separates men who get drained from men who get respected. If you want to go deeper to master emotional control, leadership, and real masculine presence, join the membership today. That's where we break everything down in detail and build the habits that make this your reality. And of course, hit subscribe so you don't miss tomorrow's video. Thanks for watching, brothers. Stay strong, stay grounded, and I'll see you tomorrow.